Hey, what is up guys? This is Nishi from MST.TV here, back with another Market Watch episode. Today we're actually going to be taking a look at a lot of different stuff from over in the OCG that is affecting our market here. There's some new support coming for different archetypes that is causing buyouts of some interesting cards, and of course there are different meta techs running around over there that people are speculating might be good here after Burst of Destiny drops in just a couple of weeks. There really is a ton of different stuff for us to look at, so let's jump right into it. Alright, so last week we looked at super rare copies of Swirl Slime in light of the new DDD support that's set to come out in Battle of Chaos, while another card that's in a similar situation to Swirl Slime is Oblivion King Abyss Ragnarok. This card is a level 8 pendulum monster that lets you summon another monster from your graveyard while it's in the scale, as well as another one when you summon this card itself, so the potential to provide 2 additional extenders in one card, which is really awesome. Of course, this is an important card for the strategy, but unlike Swirl Slime, this card is typically just one that you run 2 copies of, at least according to the DDD builds that I've seen so far. I think it's a really cool card that you're going to want to own, and fortunately the card has multiple lower rarity printings that are very easily accessible and should still be under $1 a piece. The only holo version, however, is from OTS Tournament Pack 4, and that's going to run you around $10 a copy at the moment. Much like Swirl Slime, I would suggest holding off on picking up this card for now and just wait for a bit of the initial hype to die down, and if you really want to bling out your DDD deck, pick this card up in a month or two once the price has settled back down to around $6 to $7. One other DDD card here that I think is also worth keeping an eye on, this is Flame King Genghis. This card is an extra deck monster for the DDD strategy, being an important combo piece that lets you summon a DD monster from your graveyard if another DD monster is special summoned to your side of the field. So it's a pretty simple effect, but an important one, and Flame King Genghis is typically one of the first extra deck monsters that you go into once you have access to that Swirl Slime. I believe this card is also only a 2 of, though obviously we don't know how many copies standard builds are going to be running quite yet. Now the reason I bring this card up is because it only has 1 printing available here in the TCG. It was a super rare promo for the 2016 Megatins, which came out about 5 years ago. Therefore the card is probably a little bit more difficult to find than your average combo piece. On top of that, the card is only $3 at the moment, which is actually really affordable in my opinion. I think that assuming no reprint, the card will be around $5 to $7 when Battle of Chaos does come out, maybe more if the DDD deck is actually able to perform well, which wouldn't be all that surprising since I think the support was actually quite good. If you guys are interested in playing DDDs next year, this is definitely a card that you should be looking to pick up sooner rather than later. So this is a card I think we looked at a couple of weeks ago where I recommended picking it up at around $2 to $3. Well, I do want to briefly touch on this card again and reiterate that I believe this is a card you should be actively looking to pick up while it's still affordable. With Destroy Phoenix Enforcer coming out in Burst of Destiny, this is an incredibly important card because it lets you set Artifact Scythe directly out of your deck, which can then be popped by Destroy Phoenix Enforcer to lock your opponent out of the extra deck for the turn. In fact, this card is being run a lot in the OCG as well. For one, it helps to play around super polymerization, setting it aside from something like IP Masquerena as a generic Link 2 option, and secondly, by going into Scythe and popping it during your opponent's standby phase, you're not giving them that window to play Dark Ruler No More or a Kaiju to shut down your Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Degda is up in price a tiny little bit. It's still around $3 to $4 right now, which isn't bad at all. I think that this is definitely a card to consider grabbing multiple copies of, because assuming that it doesn't get reprinted anytime soon, I could definitely see this card hitting double digits within a month after the release of Burst of Destiny. So this one might feel a bit weird, but Twin Twisters is finally getting some attention after being neglected for the last couple of formats. So Twin Twisters hasn't been a very popular option recently, with Feather Duster and Lightning Storm and even Cosmic Cyclone typically being more popular forms of back row removal. However, Twin Twisters is a card that people are really gradually turning to in their side decks once again as a way to clear multiple back row. The important thing about Twin Twisters is that it's a quick play spell card, so you can chain it to Anti-Spell Fragrance or Imperial Order, which would otherwise potentially shut down your entire turn. Now, if you guys remember, when Twin Twisters first came out, it was a super rare. It was still like a $10 card, which was crazy because it was around when getting a holo in every pack just started. Now, however, the card has multiple common and other easily accessible printings, so you should still be able to grab them for $1 if you really need them. However, it's the highest rarities that are expensive, with the ultimate rares approaching the $100 mark and the secret rares from Shadows in Valhalla at $8 to $10. Now personally, I love the way that the secret rares look, though obviously the ultis are the highest rarity and they're going to be the most sought after. I would at least own a set of ultras or something like that so that you have them ready to play with, though depending on just how much play Twin Twisters actually sees, I could definitely see the ultis and secrets continuing their upward trajectory as the format goes on. One of the other archetypes that will be getting some notable support in the future is the Maricis deck. I think that this deck was pretty hyped up for a while here in the TCG as well. A lot of people thought it was going to be really strong, like the next water version of Salamangreat, but it never actually ended up doing anything. It just kind of died to kaijus. It couldn't really compete with other meta strategies. Well, now the deck is getting a couple of new tools with support from a side set over in the OCG, including a couple of main deck cards and a new boss monster that provides a negation as well. I don't think it's enough to make the deck tier 1 or anything like that, but it does still make the deck better, and it's nice to know that Konami hasn't completely given up on the strategy yet. Now, Blue Tang is a key piece that provides a Foolish Burial for Maricis monsters on normal or special summon, and also lets you duality for a Maricis card if you use it as a link material, so that's kind of nice. As a result, secret rare Blue Tangs are back up to $7 to $8 each, despite how the deck probably won't do anything anytime soon. If you really want to play Maricis, you can of course bling it out. Wait a little bit for the hype to die down as people realize the strategy isn't that good before you do though. However, keep in mind that the card was also reprinted as a super rare in last year's Megatins, and those super reprints are dirt cheap, so they are an option if you just want to have access to the card. Alright, so this is another kind of weird random card to talk about here, but Dualist Alliance is apparently a card that was targeted for a buyout recently, specifically the secret rare version from Maximum Crisis. The card is pretty simple. If you have a card in your Pendulum zone, you get to search for a Pendulum monster or spell or trap card that has Pendulum in its name. Now, of course, despite whatever Triff says, Pendulums aren't a top tier deck right now. They're really cool and they have a lot of potential, but they aren't even close to being meta relevant. However, I believe Dualist Alliance went up because we just saw Skullcrabat Joker go to 2 and Double Iris Magician go to 3, so that's 2 additional targets to potentially search with this card, in addition to however many copies of Pendulum Call you're choosing to play. Now, I don't know if there's some new Pendulum list that's running around that prompted this buyout, but I haven't seen anything yet, so I think it's just people being speculative about a pretty good search card in highest rarity. The original secret rares are about $8 right now, though I think they were as high as 10 a couple of days ago. However, if you just need a copy of the card to play with, I think the commons are still 50 cents or so, and the ultras are only $1 to $2. Definitely a card to own if you want to play Pendulums, since this card adds great consistency if you're playing those Pendulum cards, but it's not necessarily something that you need to own the highest rarity of. So the next card is one we probably should have seen coming. It is Coral Dragon. This is a really simple card. It's a generic level 6 synchro that is also a tuner. It lets you discard a card to pop an opponent's card on the field, and if you use it as a synchro material, you also get to draw a card. Really straightforward and easy to use. This card was a key extra deck piece for Virtual World decks back before True King of All Calamities was banned. I know the deck kind of fell off a bit after that, but people are back on Virtual World as a potentially top tier deck once again, especially after the deck just became super cheap and easy to build with all of the 2021 Megatin reprints. Because of how cheap everything else is, now people have to go and buy out all of the remaining cards for it, including the extra deck ones. Coral Dragon only has 2 printings available, the original secret rares from the Dark Illusions, and then it had an ultra rare reprint from the Legendary Hero decks, which isn't the most highly sought after rarity, but it's kind of annoying still because you have to buy a whole box set just for a single copy of the ultra rare, so a lot of people just turn to picking up single copies, which depletes the quantity on market rather quickly. The secrets as the highest rarity and original printing are up at $16 each, but now even the ultra rare reprints have followed up and are now sitting at $5 to $6, which is still up a decent amount considering the card was only $1 or $2 about a year ago. Hopefully this card does get reprinted in a reprint set soon, but do understand that this is a card that you're going to need to own if you want to play Virtual World, since it's important for providing you that extra draw in tight situations. Alright, the final card to talk about here is one of my favorite cards personally, but hasn't seen a ton of usage the last little while. It is Evenly Matched. So I think Evenly is a really broken, definitely abusable card, allowing you to basically wipe your opponent's board at the cost of your battle phase. However, with cards in the game like Dark Ruler No More and Forbidden Droplet, I feel like Evenly Matched just hasn't been as popular recently, not even in side decks. However, it's definitely looking like this card might see play more once again, as that's a trend that is currently emerging in the OCG. With everyone playing things like Imperial Order or Anti-Spell Fragrance, Evenly Matched is a great way to out your opponent's board despite their Floodgate. Now fortunately for us, Evenly Matched isn't as expensive as it used to be. The card has 4 different printings, and the Ultras with their very recent Ghosts from the Past reprint are down to $12 each, which is very affordable, and then either of these secret rare copies are going to cost you about $18 to $20 each. However, for a card that wouldn't fall below $30 to $40 for the longest time, and for a card that's actually as strong as Evenly Matched is, I think that under $20 a piece is a very reasonable price to pay, and I would highly consider grabbing a few copies now. I think that if people start to pick up on Evenly Matched and start scrambling to pick it up, we could definitely see these secret rares back up to $30 and the ultras up to $20 fairly quickly. So if you're going to want to play this card in the future and don't already have it, I would highly consider grabbing it now. Alright guys, that is it for today's episode. I don't know if you guys saw, but definitely keep your eyes on YouTube over the next couple of days because we are going to be getting some Burst of Destiny cards revealed. I'm really curious to know like what the new B Trooper support's going to be and exactly which cards are going to be secret rares in the upcoming set. In my opinion, Burst of Destiny is going to go down as a top 5 set of all time, so I'm definitely ordering a couple of cases. Let me know what you guys think about the set as well. Anyways, if you did enjoy today's Market Watch, please do make sure you hit that thumbs up button for me and let me know. Also, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys think about the cards we talked about today, and also other cards that are trending on the market so I can cover them in a future episode. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get all of the latest and greatest content from both Tombox and myself here on the channel. And until next time guys, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.